Welcome to this
Mhm.
week's PromoChat. Welcome. This week we have Sarah Dickerson from EMT. Well, thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're so excited. You started joining us earlier this year, and you've been such a fun and eager participant that finally having you on I've been trying for a while, and I'm quite excited you're here. Perfect.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I had no idea that PromoChat was even a thing, and then I was just creeping on Twitter like I normally do, and and I was like, oh wait, people are kind of using the same hashtag and having a conversation about this stuff. This is so cool. I'll totally jump in.
Don't worry, we have lots of lurkers out there, like a ton of them. You're one of the few that was like, you know what, I'll go chat with these weirdos. It works out.
It
Awesome.
really pays to lurk.
Yeah, no, it pays more to join in because there's candy from our sponsors of Maple Ridge Farms. So
Yay!
yeah, you should definitely join in. Well, awesome. So this week we had a chef takeover with our own JV Sal, where he took on a favorite topic of his of emotional marketing. And so we covered everything from style guides to inspirations to brand ambassadors to how do you like build a brand? Like what does your brand mean? And so our question was, our audience often become numb to our messages because they think they already know who we are and what we do. #swag. How have you used promo products to enhance your brand story and get them to pay attention? So you replied with, lapel pins are the perfect example of this. Everyone forgets about them or writes them off as old. We've taken a lot of inspo from the fashion industry and started showing pins as a creative expression. So if you have been to any of the trade shows, you know about EMT's like Promo AF and Promo Rocks campaign and your swag and everything, your rockstar swag. And so you guys have really done an amazing job with your own like brands and your own like promoting yourself as a fun one. So can you tell me sort of the thought process and the inspiration for how that came about and how you're seeing a reaction to it?
Yeah, sure. So EMT, before I had kind of gotten on board, our branding was really just kind of sleepy because we had been using the same billboards for so long, the same booth graphics, the same just templates for our flyers. Everything had been the same since who knows when. So we kind of felt like the promotional products industry was really moving in a new, more creative way. And we thought, this is the perfect time to really rebrand ourselves and kind of change the way how people see us. So we all got together and we thought, well, what is something that everyone in the office has in common? And I think we all have a pretty great love of just pop culture in general and classic rock and kind of just we're going to do this on our own terms kind of thing, which I think really embodies like a punk aspect, which I think is a neat way to think about it. And so with lapel pins being such a sleepy and seen as such an older person kind of promotional product, I think that was the thing that we really wanted to focus on and thought, what's a cool way to show a lapel pin? So that's when the research came in. And we started looking at editorials in fashion magazines, anything that a person was putting on Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest boards of, all these younger people putting on pins on jackets, backpacks, you name it, anything. And so the thing that we noticed whenever we saw all these pictures and put them together is that the people aren't really, they're not, years of service pins, or they're not proud to be a cat owner pin. Even though I do have a proud to be a cat owner pin, I'm going to say.
I mean, it's yourself, but it's there.
I know, right? So we saw that these pins were more of a form of self-expression, excuse me. So they were anything from a trendy meme to save the planet, stuff like that, stuff that really showed as more of an art form and self-expression and less of, I've been at X company for so many years, or, I went to this school or something like that.
Yeah. It's so interesting is like, because you're right, like the pin game has this really dated aspect to it where it's like, can be an afterthought. It can be seen as like super cheap and not a thoughtful item, but it has like, even the like slogans like up your pin game. And like in Toronto as well, there's this show run called the Pin and Patch Show, and it happens every year, and it's like one day, and they have like a 2-hour wait to get in. And so
Oh man.
like these are real fan bases and real interest in it. And so yeah, so my question for you is like, you saw this was going on in the retail and the fashion world. Did you find it took a while to come into like the into the promo world, or did you find that it was the push was already there from clients, like from the promo side rather than the fashion side? Like what have you the response from your audience to be on it?
I think the push and the want for something a little bit more artistic was already there, which was awesome. It made our job a little bit easier because everyone knows that terrifying feeling of like, you know, you put something out there in the world and you're just like, oh, please, Lord, please let someone else like this. So yeah, I mean, people for, you know, what I could tell for a while had been using lapel pins as, just a way to kind of get a message across. But since that want was already there in the fashion industry and people had seen that before, it was pretty common for people to see it on, you know, Tumblr, Instagram, things of that. So because they had already seen it, they were more excited to put it in a promotional aspect. So, you know, now we have pins for, like events for anything from like a brewery opening to a bistro opening. I mean, even stuff like, I mean, it'd be really awesome if we could do something for like Lollapalooza one time. I mean, just gonna slide that in there.
Just put it on your like dream board.
I know, right? Like one day.
Well, I know. Well, it becomes like because it comes like an identity statement as well, which kind of goes back into like the brand, like the emotional brand attachment to it is like people will put it on their jackets, like they'll put it on their clothing. Like you have a pin on right now, and
I do. Ta-da!
And so it's like you chose to wear that as like a fashion. You might have just chosen it because you knew you'd be on Deep Dive today, but it becomes, it's exactly what we want this to be. Is, you know, you become an emotional attachment because you start to use the pins to define your personality, your creativity, your like where you've been, even like really cool pins. Like, I mean, I went on vacation, I bought different pins of like different places I was there. I'm like, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with them, but I really like them. And some of them I put on my jackets, and yeah, it's kind of interesting on how you can play with it as an artistic side.
Yeah, most definitely. And I feel like even, I mean, you said that you bought some pins because of a place that you had gone. I mean, that's just a way for, I mean, like, I'm just thinking of like a visitor center. I mean, that's a great way for like a nonprofit to get their word out about something, you know, hey, we have this new natural art museum coming out, or we've got this new natural history. That was the word I was looking for. Natural art. I mean, it's a thing. Natural History Museum come out, or this non-for-profit place is having something else put out. So, I mean, I think it's just like a really great way to just kind of get everything out. I mean,
So I have a question for you. So you also talked about sort of EMT's rebrand for everything. And how have you found the response to that? Like, have you found your same, like, I know you've only worked at EMT for a year, just over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're like a baby in the industry.
Yeah, I am quite fresh.
You're quite new. You're not jaded yet.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have like the full background of like before. You don't have the before, but you have the after. What was the after of the rebrand happening? Like, what did you notice? Like new people that never worked with EMT coming in? Like, how did you find the response to your branding there?
Definitely, I would say I saw the most response on social media, because before, especially on Instagram, that was probably the place that we really saw the most change, which was awesome. So we saw a lot more tags and a lot more posts that were related to our products. So after launching these in Las Vegas, we had all kinds of people, whether it was a person in the industry saying, hey, you know, I went to EMT's booth and I got this badass looking pin, you know, you should definitely check them out. And so just by that word of mouth and by putting it on social, it was almost like a grassroots kind of thing, which I thought was awesome. You just kind of saw this thing build, and just the fact that people were willing to not only take our product and wear it, but to share it on social was such an awesome thing. And then from there, I think it started on Instagram, I'd say that. And then it really branched off into Twitter. People were putting hashtag PromoAF into stuff and hashtag Promo Rocks and just all the good hashtags.
All those things you worked on.
I know. All those things you carefully craft into at least 2 characters. And then from there, that's when it kind of took on to Facebook. So as far as the number side, I'm not 100% sure on like how our numbers have grown. I would say at least, I'd definitely say they've grown. I'd hate to give you an exact number and it not be right. But
I'll hunt you down for specifics.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh, please don't hurt me.
It was off by 1 decimal point.
No. But oh my gosh. But yeah, it was just awesome to see that, you know, this thing kind of hit the ground running and people were so excited to see this new kind of punk attitude for promotional products industry a promotional products supplier, because I mean, I don't want to sound, you know, like I'm getting a big head here, but I like to think that EMT was kind of the first one to kind of take this charge of saying, you know, we're not your granddad's lapel pins anymore, so don't come here thinking that. So which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, because it's interesting because EMT has been around for a while, and to get that level of reaction on social media, like, it was fantastic. Like, you made brand ambassadors. Like, I was one of those jerks. It was like, I got one of these exclusive.
Yes, thank you.
Which has been stolen by me. From me, but,
curses.
No, bring it back. But it was like, I saw afterwards, we were like, a bunch of friends were posting that they had these hats, and so so our question was about brand ambassadors, and you literally went out and you got brand ambassadors by thinking different, designing outside of like what is thought of right for promo, like, you know, what a lapel pin would do. And it's a great example of how do you get that emotional attachment to everything, and you guys did it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like, I just loved seeing, I think it was even some guy had put his Promo AF hat on his daughter, or just, I mean, some relative. It was a young girl. And it was just the cutest thing to see this little girl with her, just like, I mean, the hat was huge on her, but it was so cute to see this little girl was like rocking this Promo AF hat. And I was like, yeah, way to go.
I know. Yeah. I think I posted a picture and everyone's like, where'd you get that? And I was like, no. I'm part of a club.
You cannot sit with us.
Yes. Well, fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us and talking about emotional marketing. This was fabulous.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast.
And everyone, join us every week, Wednesday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And thank you again to our sponsors of Maple Ridge Farms for our deep dive. And thank you, Sarah. And can you tell us where to find you on the internet?
Sure. You can always find me at EMT Easy. That's at EMT Easy. So we'll be all over the social medias. So check us out.
And you'll see you at PromoChat every week. You're great.
Yes.
It's fabulous.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. Take care.
Thanks. You too.